Hi everyone, nice to meet you. So, I'm not native English, I'm French, Chauvet, I think I couldn't get rid of this. Second thing is I've lived most of my life in North America, so revenue is permitted. You can say you're in charge of bringing in money for a company, where I think in this country it's not so common. But anyway, nice to meet you. And yeah, I think what I want to try and do today is talk about Omnichannel, talk about our view, Lightspeed's view of the world of Omnichannel, how we see the market evolving, and hopefully you can have an understanding of how our technology, Lightspeed, we can help. Maybe if we talk about Lightspeed just for a second. So we did a very big acquisition for us this year. Maybe in the room, who knows about SEO Shop? Okay, good. So we did a good acquisition for the Dutch market. Our vision when we made the acquisition of SEO Shop is that the offline world and the online world are going to merge. If you fast forward 5 years from now, you will not be talking about e-commerce, you will not be talking about brick and mortar, you'll be talking about commerce, and you'll be talking about behaviors of consumers. And I come from media and publishing, and we saw exactly the same trends happening. There was paper, and then you had teams of people in media groups that were doing online, and then you had what was called the joint newsroom, and then you had advertising that basically became 100% behavioral regardless where it was. Well, we think that if you look at consumers and how they buy, it's going to be exactly the same in retail. So for us, SEO Shop is the best platform for e-commerce, and Lightspeed in North America we're the best platform for the new kind of brick and mortar. So what we do is we do a tablet-based system that enables to manage your store, and we go anywhere from 1 store to 100 stores. And if you look at, I don't know, for instance, Soho or kind of high-density areas in the US, we own pretty much those markets. A good example for the Dutch market, the bicycle stores in North America, more than 50% of them are using Lightspeed to manage their stores. And so for us, the idea is SEO Shop plus Lightspeed. We're going to integrate those platforms together, and I'm going to show you the vision of Omnichannel, what we think needs to happen, so that we can enable any online store to actually easily go into brick and mortar and do pop-up shops, and vice versa. We want to enable all of the kind of physical, traditional retailers to be very strong in their online presence. Pretty straightforward. So we're about 500 employees now. I think we're the fastest growing company in Canada for technology. We're based in Montreal. And maybe one number that's kind of interesting, we have about $11 billion in processing volume in our platforms. And maybe to give you a comparison, the entire Dutch market for online, does anyone know what is the entire? It's $13 billion. So, billion euros, sorry. So we're pretty much in the volume of transaction that we do today globally at Lightspeed in about 100 countries. We represent pretty much the entire e-commerce market in the Netherlands. So, Omnichannel, maybe I'd just like to understand kind of the audience. Who has a pure online store in the audience? Wow. Who has a physical brick and mortar store in the audience? Okay, so very few of everything. But I think for me, the main thing we're going to look at is scenarios for the consumers. And we're going to show you very simple scenarios. And you're going to see that these scenarios are very difficult to accomplish in today's marketplace. And we're going to try and give you some kind of trends and understanding of where we're heading and where we think the market is heading. So let's talk about a buyer, because it all starts by the buyer. And let's talk about the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel. And I'm going to start by giving you a very simple scenario of a buyer. And even though it's going to look like it's a dead simple scenario from the buyer's perspective, behind the scenes there's a lot of plumbing that needs to happen to make this work between all of the different models. So we're going to talk about Emma. Emma receives a gift card. Yeah. Even if you're, I think again here, if you're in the online world or in the offline world, everyone pretty much supports gift cards. From that gift card, she's going to go to a store, an online store. She's going to start by searching online, and she's going to find 2 items in the store, and she's going to spend half of her gift card on those items. After that, they're going to be delivered to her house, and she's going to keep one of the items, and she's going to return the other item. when she returns the item, she returns it in the store. And while she's in the store, she gets some salesperson to upsell her, and she uses the rest of her gift card to buy the rest of the items. And finally, because we understand the behavior of the consumer, and because we bridge the two silos, a few weeks later she gets a kind of a promotion to buy another item that's very targeted and that actually represents her needs. And I think just that model is not multi-channel, it's omni-channel. Because the real differences between the two models, and that's really what we're focused on at Lightspeed today, is we think that most of the brick and mortar people have multi-channel. So I think a lot of, I mean, there's a I'm just going to give you some US statistics. 60% of physical brick and mortar have an online store in the US. And unfortunately, they're just representing items online, but they're not merging the two. They're not making the experience for the vendor. And I can tell you that just this model of Emma is pretty much impossible for an SMB. And again, Lightspeed, we're not going after these big enterprises that can afford to integrate and do custom build. We're trying to make all of the stores and all of the store owners, call it digital or physical, that don't have the money to buy real big platforms. We want to make it easy for them to do these models. Because we actually think that the biggest portion of retail is SMBs, so it's the mid-market, it's not the huge brands, and it's not people working from a garage. That's where there's the biggest volume of transactions. And unfortunately, those are the vendors today that are having the biggest difficulties adopting to technology and understanding the new market and as it's coming. So again, if you have to summarize multi-channel is pretty much, I have an online presence, I have a brick and mortar presence, and I can sell my items on both. But I really do not integrate the vision of the customer inside of this, and I do not provide a really good experience. So why are we doing this? And these are statistics, and again, I'm sorry, I'm North American, so I took North American statistics. But 87% of people nowadays are going to start searching online before they purchase in store. And why is this important? So I have a few passions in life. One of my passions is toilets. I don't know if you've ever been to Japan, but they have toilets that wash you and clean you and hair dry you, and it's kind of a fantastic experience. So when I built my house in Canada, I'm like, I need a Toto toilet. And the first step I did is I said, okay, I'm going to go online and check out who can sell me a Toto toilet which has a washlet and everything. So I go online, and you know, in Canada, the government right now, and I don't know if it's the same here, but they're worried because the new economy and this new omnichannel and the new way of working is leaving a lot of big retailers on the side, and they're struggling to generate revenues. And retail in general in Canada, physical retail, is struggling. And I think this is, why am I talking about the toilet? Because I think it's a really good example of why they're struggling. And you know, this big thing in the US, it's called Amazon, and everyone's like, Amazon's killing everyone's businesses. But at the end of the day, Amazon is much smarter than most of the people, and that's why they get the business. But anyway, I'm going back to my washlet, my Toto toilet. I go online, and I'm like, okay, I live in a cool area in the center of Montreal, and I'm sure I'm going to have some store in Canada or in Montreal that's going to sell a Toto toilet. And it's going to sell this kind of thing I'm looking for. If you're into it, it's kind of important for me. And so I went online, I do a search, and I find nothing. And the only thing I find is Amazon.com, where I can get the toilet. I order the toilet, 2 days later it's delivered to my house. And unfortunately, I didn't help my economy, but my intention when I started was not to go and shop online at Amazon. My intention was to find a local retailer that could serve me. And so this is why it's really important when you're talking about omnichannel, what we're trying to do is, first of all, if I don't expose my inventory online, and Lightspeed, we're working with Google at developing a number of models, you know, where it's going to become hyper-local, where you're going to have your mobile devices, you're going to search, and you're going to see the inventory that's hyper-local of a store next to you. So anyway, I ended up buying my toilet online. I felt bad about it because I really wanted it, but anyway, I bought it. I was happy. And a few months later, I'm walking literally 150 meters from my house. And there's a toilet store there, or a bathroom store, and they had exactly that toilet. And I think that is the new economy. And I think the problem with most brick and mortar, it's not that they don't want to be online, it's that it's so complicated. It's so complicated to understand the world, to manage your inventory, to have to manage 2 silos, to take the inventory, expose it, to be sure that if you sell it online and you only have 1 in store, that the inventory gets updated. It becomes a nightmare. So that's the biggest barrier to entry. And unfortunately, this toilet store lost my sale that I would have bought in a heartbeat because it was next door, because they didn't understand that actually the number one thing for retailers now is to drive door traffic through online traffic. And so that's one of the big things we're trying to model, and I think this is a real statistic. And that's why what we're doing at Lightspeed, and we have a booth if you want to come and see what we're doing, is we're now integrating completely SEO Shop into our brick and mortar, so that any one of our customers that use our brick and mortar, physical retail, can just click a button and have all their inventory available online, available to be sold online, but also to be reserved. So I'm going to search online, find the item, reserve the inventory, come and pick it up in store. And I think this is a very good example for a very, very kind of standard way of shopping for the new generation. The second thing that's really important when you talk about omnichannel, 82% of people are using their mobile phone in store to understand the item before they buy it in the store. And here, I think one of the values and what's really important when you talk about the new shopper and how you can help them, and if you're in retail, that means your salesperson needs to be smarter than your website. And I mean, there's a lot of statistics around this, but first of all, I'm going to just pitch a few ideas here, but the brand narrative is much better exposed in 3D than online. So that's why you see a lot of online stores now that are opening pop-up stores, because they understand that actually customer loyalty is much stronger once you engage in a physical way with the salesperson and with the brand. So why is this important? If you go to a store, and you know that most people who go to your store are more informed about your salespeople when they get into the store about the product because they're searching it online, well, you will not create a good experience for the consumer. And I think here, vice versa, if you're only a pure brick and mortar, a pure online vendor, and you really want to develop some engagement, and I've worked with a number of big companies in Canada there, if you really want to create an engagement, you need at some point to have this real connectivity, this physical connectivity, and more of the stores, if you look at the future, they're going to become showrooms. They're not going to contain a lot of inventory. You'll be able to fill anything anywhere, They're going to become an experience, and they're going to become a center where you're going to have highly curated items put together that look good. Heard about showrooming? That's the big thing that was supposed to kill retail. Actually, everyone realized the opposite happened. Showrooming is you're in a store, you're using your device to find that same item cheaper somewhere else online, and you're in the store and you're ordering it online. I don't know if you remember, but 5 years ago, everyone in the US, you started having signs, mobile devices not permitted in this store, because everyone was like certain that showrooming was going to kill retail, but actually the opposite happened. Web rooming is actually now the real retail, which is people are always searching for devices online because they want to learn about the items, because they're not living the right experience when they get to the stores. I think I talked about this. I'm just going to give you an example, I think that works well. 3x1, any of you heard of it? It's the top 10 jean stores in the world. They're in Soho. And I think it's a really good model when you talk about omnichannel and customer experience. So I'm also obsessed by jeans. I maybe think I have too many obsessions in life. But anyway, jeans is another one I love. And 3x1, they're in Soho, and it's the best jean experience ever. You go into that store, and you basically pick the material, they scan you. Okay, when you put on weight, then you're kind of screwed. But anyway, they scan you, they find the perfect fit for you, you go and choose your buttons, you go and choose the threading, you choose everything, and then they sit you down in a lovely little lounge, and in the center of the store is like a manufacturing plant for jeans, and it's all glass, and you see people creating your jean. So you come in, the experience is absolutely insane. You obviously drink a nice little fusion Asian, Japanese tea or whatever they give you, and 15 minutes later they come with your jean that's completely custom made, and you've pretty much selected everything you wanted. And I think that's, again, when I talk about 3D brand narrative, I mean, I will remember 3x1, and I promise you, every time I go to New York, I want to live the experience again, and I go to 3x1. But why am I giving this as a good omnichannel and a good example of, upsell the customer where they want to buy? Now, 3x1, I didn't actually realize I paid because they came with a mobile device through the cycle. They put my credit card, they vaulted it, didn't realize. They got all my credentials, my size. And then what happens now is every month I have an email from 3x1. Hey, look at these are the new materials. Click here. And that click is so easy. Click here. And I'm always very attracted by the clicks too, so I just click. And the next thing I know is 2 days later I have a new jean that just appeared. I just said confirm. They charged me $600, and I have my new pair of jeans with the material of the month. And again, I think what you'll see more and more in retail is you'll see physical retailers is going to be your first point of contact or your brand identity. I'm now engaged with 3x1. I love their jeans. I love the brand. I love the experience. And then now they're using anything digital to re-engage with me. So obviously they have an e-commerce website. Obviously when I receive the newsletter, I go to the site and I just do click, 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 and I'm done. And next thing I know is I have my jeans that are delivered. There's another company also that does it really well, is Suit Supply. I don't know if you know them, they're amazing. Suit Supply, I engaged in their stores. If you've ever been to one of their stores, I mean, it is curated to the ultimate. They actually tell you what to wear, when. You have all these, the merchandising is so well put together that you want to buy everything when you try it. But Suit Supply are the best also at re-engaging with you outside of the store. They know exactly the brands I like. They know my sizes. And all I have to do is every day, and they're maybe a bit aggressive on this one, but almost every day I have the new trend and the suit together, click the button, everything delivered, shipped to my house, off we go, vaulted credit card. And I think, again, the future is going to be based on omnichannel, and that's really the vision of Lightspeed. And everyone at Lightspeed loves retail, which is one of the criteria when we hire. We're hiring like crazy. We're hiring about 30 people per month, so if anyone wants a new career or a good job, come and see us at our booth. But this is the future of retail, and this is the obsession of Lightspeed. And it is, how do I put the customer experience in the center, and how do I enable all of our customers, we have 35,000 customers now who are retailers, how do I enable them to simplify everything that's really complex and build models inside of the platform that integrate all of the worlds to be sure that basically you can compete with a Walmart, you can compete with a, one of these mega online stores, and you can actually connect with the customer at the right time, at the right place. Okay, reasons for omnichannel. I think I spoke a lot ahead of time, which is what I do most of the time. But anyway, I think there's a big marketing component, as we discussed. I think it's all going to become behavioral. The physical world, where it was all about how do I stock as much merchandising as possible into my store, or how do I put as much merchandising into my online store and hope that someone's going to come to me and I'm going to try and sell as much. I think that world is dead. More and more, it's going to be curated, and you're going to know your customers inside out. So there's a huge marketing element and a personalized outreach that's going to happen. I'm sure that Suit Supply is not sending me the same email that they're sending to other cohorts of customers. Obviously, the customer is going to be at the center. I don't like giving brand names, but if you try and return an item at Gap, you want to shoot yourself, and you'll never go back to Gap. If you want to return an item, it takes 5 hours. They don't actually know who you are. They're still looking for your name, and they're calling the manager. They're locking on. I mean, that is going to die. All of those retailers that do not take care of customers first and don't provide an extremely good experience, regardless of where you connect with the customer, are going to die. And finally, I think the third one, which is really important when you talk about omnichannel, is the cost. I don't think that small brick and mortar retailers, small and medium sizes up to 40, 50, have the money. And they certainly don't have the manpower. They certainly don't have the people to manage silos. So I think that's the last piece, is when you talk about operational efficiencies and how can I drive profits, the only way forward is having one single repository for customers, for transactions, for inventory, and enable to connect with the customers with interfaces. Your in-store selling is just an iPad interfacing with the same database with the same customers, and your online site A and B and D is exactly the same. And unless you can merge and you can get all of this together into one platform and make it easy for those small and medium retailers, I don't think that we're providing a path forward to the industry. Our founder, Dax da Silva, he actually founded the company, and his view was, we want cities to remain cities. And for cities to remain cities, you need to have independent retailers, you need to have an experience that is not the same everywhere, and you need to have something unique about cities. And we do this for retail stores, for restaurants, and now for online stores with SEO Shop. And that's our reason of being, and we're going to merge everything together and make it easier and easier for small-sized retailers and medium-sized retailers to compete. So I think I've summarized quite enough. I think in conclusion, the last thing I want to talk about is Karen. I don't know if you know her. She's a very respected journalist in the US, and I think she has a phrase that says it all. You know, if you want customers, you need to get to them where they are, and where they are is everywhere. And I think, again, just going back to this exemplifies what I said about my toilet. I was a customer, I was looking for an item, I couldn't find a retailer, and I ended up buying online because I couldn't find it locally and I couldn't engage with my community. And I think people want to keep the sense of community, they want to stay in cities, but again, our mission is to try and get those retailers to be competitive and have technology that's easy to implement, that's inexpensive, and that would enable them to do more than a big box brick and mortar and online store. So that's what I had to say today. I think we're going to open it up to questions and answers. And again, if you, we are Lightspeed, we are SEO Shop, we're one company now, and I think we're pretty present. I think you've seen the bags everywhere. And come to our booth. I'm very happy to talk to any one of you. And we have a whole team inside our company who are ready to help you and see how you're working today and how we can help you do better in the future. So thank you very much.
And Paul, thank you very much for your presentation.